Hello? Okay. Okie doke. How's the weight distribution here? Whoa. Just being careful. What's up, everybody? It's Johnny2000 time. Okay. This time I have my own laptop, so it should go a lot better. I'm sorry about that. It's already not going better because of my burp. Okay. So let's talk about... Let's talk about blooper episodes. Sorry, guys, just getting my notes. How's it going, everybody? Getting some videos recorded today. Okay. Okay. Clip shows have been a staple of sitcoms for quite some time now. I'll never forget the day the writers decided, hey, let's take a break for a couple episodes and just reminisce about things that had already happened. It's kind of a yearbook for TV shows. I mean, if it's done well, because I gotta be honest, there's some really bad clip show episodes out there that just scream laziness. At their best, they're telling a compelling narrative along with sharing insights on new episodes that we haven't. At their best, they are pushing the story along while showing us things that really make. At its best, it progresses. At its best, it serves as its own episode with intermittent scenes to drive the narrative and honors a lot of the footage, the character moments, and gives us insight onto some of our favorite experiences going through these shows. But now in this generation, when there's like TikTok and clips being put together anyway, hint hint my channel, it's almost like they look worse in retrospect. So I'm going to share with you guys the top 5 worst clip show experiences I've had with a sitcom. Oh, at its worst, it's a horribly pieced together compilation of old clips that doesn't necessarily bring anything new to the table, making it kind of a waste of all of our time. I'm going to go over all the clip show episodes. And it's weird to think about teen TV doing it, because these shows are significantly shorter, between usually 1, 2, maybe even 4 seasons max. So the fact that they're even doing clip show episodes is kind of astounding to me. Sometimes I've heard that it's because the actors can't get there, or like maybe they can't do an episode on schedule, and that's probably why it's not happening. I don't know. But there's some real travesties in here. A good example of this is actually Drake and Josh. So, despite some of the other episodes I'm going to have on this list, Drake and Josh did Dr. Phyllis at the end of its third season. Sure, it's a little weird because they only had 3 seasons, with the first season being 6 episodes, but they did a really good job at making the Dr. Phyllis show at the forefront of the nostalgia bait. Like, for me, I don't look back and was like, that was a clip show episode. No, I look back and see that it was the Dr. Phyllis episode. And sure, those clips are all reused, but they're really good. And they're taking us back to Drake and Josh moments that actually mattered. Therefore, I feel like it's the perfect culmination of old and new clips, despite the fact it's at the end of its third season. There was a lot of time dedicated to Drake and Josh, so it's like hard to argue that it was a waste of an episode. But just wait, because it gets bad. At number 5, we are gonna have The Sweet Life. Yeah, The Sweet Life had an episode that was essentially a clip show. Do you guys remember it? I don't think you did, because it's the finale. Yeah, the final episode of The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody is a clip show. It's called Mr. Tipton Comes to Visit, and basically all the staff is worried that Mr. Tipton's visit is going to mean a bonus for everybody, or somebody's going to get fired. And it's really interesting to see the plot progress. I feel like they did a good job at almost honoring the older episodes. Like Drake and Josh did it before the show was over, so that's kind of weird, but at least The Sweet Life used it as this vehicle to kind of honor everything that's happened in the series thus far. The fact that it's not on Zack and Cody as much as it is everybody else at the hotel kind of makes me feel like it's teetering on not being a good clip show. And I feel like the fact that it's the series finale is kind of heartbreaking, because I want to look back on I want to get one last story with these characters, not necessarily just look back on all the stories I've seen already. So it's kind of hard for me to defend this one, but it is one of the ones that I swear is the most memorable. You'll notice the difference between the Disney Channel and the Teen Nick episodes that do clip shows. It's funny because I feel like Nickelodeon definitely started it first, considering that a lot of these episodes were coming after the fact of the Drake and Josh one, but it's crazy that they all jumped in on it and then got the worst of it. One that really annoys me is Sunny So Far. It's from Sunny with a Chance, and it is the 21st episode in its first season, the season finale of that. And I am a big Sunny with a Chance thing. I am a big Sunny with a Chance fan. I think it's a great show. It's almost like taking all that and 30 Rock and making this great kids tween hybrid featuring like really funny characters that are genuinely just hilarious, and it makes me feel like, I don't know, like the writers knew that the kids were paying attention to each and every joke, so they put it together so well. It's cynical in a way that Drake and Josh isn't, but it definitely lost a lot of points for me on its season finale. There's so many great episodes up until that point, but Sunny So Far takes the idea of the Dr. Phyllis show, where Sunny and Tawny are going to be on a talk show, but then almost pulls back. They do a good job at keeping the plot in it. Like they're at the show, and Sunny's whole bit is that she doesn't want to accidentally give away personal information because she's a small town girl. She cares about being portrayed in the Hollywood light in a disrespectful way. Therefore, and also Tawny is just wanting, but Tawny, it's like her first interview, and both of them are super nervous, but with the host actually having a goal of getting as much information out of the girls as possible. Definitely a really interesting way to go about that format. And something that does do it well on its, and something I will say is on its side, is the fact that there's more episode than there is clips. Like, the amount of clips are nothing compared to the episode. it's just annoying because there's not that many episodes of Sunny with a Chance to begin with. So to think that all out of all 47, one of them is just a rehash of an older episode, I'm upset. You know, like, I feel like it could have been a great season finale. They could have ended on a better cliffhanger. They do introduce Chad and Sunny's relationship and have a great moment where Tawny actually does a selfless act to make Sunny feel better, which is really genuine and nice, but like, it feels like it's just thrown together in a bad way. And why the first season? Why? What are we looking back on? 20 episodes? I don't think we need that. I don't think we need that in a first season of a show. They actually had a flashback type episode, Tales from the Prop House, which is episode 15, and they actually called on moments that never happened, which I thought was a great idea for an episode. Like, it was an episode about flashbacks, but everything was new. Exactly the way that stuff should go. And that's when we get to the crutch episodes. The clip show episodes that just straightforward are just milking it in the worst way possible. I'm not sure if you guys remember this. I know you're thinking of Victorious and iCarly's blooper episode, but there was one before that, and it's called PCA Confidential. Yeah, if you saw my Zoe 101 retrospective, you'll know that there is the finale, which is Chasing Zoe or Goodbye Zoe, and then we have one extra episode where we just forget all the events of the prior finale and just start talking about clips that had already happened in the show. And I feel like this would have been a great DVD bonus feature. This would have been a good special to have on Nickelodeon leading up to the finale, not necessarily taking the spot of the finale. Like, literally the production code is a number. That means the network ordered this as an episode, and I don't remember them ordering 10 minutes. Yeah, it's mostly clips, and it's just Zoe and Chase answering questions for people that are going to go to PCA. It's a cool concept, but there's no plot that occurs. There's no beginning and ending. There's just, like, Chase and Zoe defending themselves, trying to keep everything PG with PCA. So therefore, it's not a good one. I'm not happy with that. But you know what? It does get worse, unfortunately. Because Victorious did it. Yeah, and Victorious is actually pretty bad. I know you'll be surprised to hear that. You might be surprised to hear that Victorious is number 2 instead of number 1 of the worst. It's because iCarly, we'll get to that, but Blooptorious is this kind of like new hybrid of clip show with a talk show element. There is no overarching narrative at all, like Sunny so far, like the Dr. Phyllis show. They just take that format and use it for utter nonsense. It is just the dummy from Victorious. Rex is the host. And it's all meta jokes. Yeah, this is a live stream. Sorry, I'm just recording this. I'm recording my episodes. Christopher Kane is the host, and he cares too much about the wrong things. It's like, its worst cynical nature comes out in this clip show. It's funny because it's like, it doesn't seem like it could have possibly been scripted. Like, the jokes are that bad that it just feels like they were just being awkward for awkward's sake. And that's kind of something I don't like non-intentional storytelling. Like, that's not cool. And it's just this guy poking fun at the characters. The laugh tracks in between, and it almost doesn't feel earned. I've never noticed the laugh track more than in a blooper episode of a show. Maybe because it's like teetering behind meta and like the actual episode, but for this, it just bothered me a little bit too much. they asked Jade what's her fragrance, and I don't even know what the order of this is. Like, we start with Andre, who is actually one of the main characters. Why is he going last? And Robbie is like one of the final ones we interview. Of course, we land on Tori, but like, why is that the order? Like, shouldn't we be basing it off of like priority of the characters or the amount of scenes they have? Like, Andre should be saving best for last, but he's just put right in the front, so all the good stuff is over. Trina is a little too realistic in this. Like, she's playing herself and it's distracting, honestly. It feels like she is genuinely happy to be there, and Christopher Kane or Rex or whatever is just straightforward bullying her live on set, and I'm really not here for it. I feel like the jokes aren't even funny enough to justify it happening. Like, I feel bad for Daniela Monet because she's just trying to make an honest performance out of this clip show episode, and nobody wins. It's just Rex bullying the kids pretty much, and you could tell the adult humor is such a priority in this one for them because I guess the writers needed a break. I just don't understand why they had to waste our time growing up watching it. When this first came out, I was thinking that it would be an episode with a little bit of a substance, like maybe we'd see clips we hadn't seen before, because this is only like, I think 25 episodes in that they did this. So it's not like it's an old show that they need to go back to all these memories. It's just an excuse to have an extended behind the scenes featurette. And unfortunately, that's how the cookie crumbles with that. And I'm sad to say that's the truth. So yeah, so Blooptorious definitely looks bad on the series. It definitely gives clip shows a bad name. I just don't know why they need to do clip shows. Like, just use it as some kind of extra bonus feature. We live in a time now where that's a little too obvious, but back then, I guess, they were trying to get away with whatever they could, and that is the glaring issue with all of these teen shows, especially the Nickelodeon ones. Like, they set up the idea, but then they did worse at it than all these other shows. Like, at least Sunny with a Chance put in a little bit of character development. Drake and Josh put in a fun little story with an additional new character. And here, meanwhile, Victorious is just taking all the old characters, giving them worse lines than they ever had in the show, and just letting it go crazy. And it's lazy to me, honestly. But the number one, the one that actually beats that, is the iCarly one. First one is not too bad. iBloop is at the end of season 3, and that's enough time. Like, they had about, like, 50 to 60 episodes at that point. Great. Like, good idea to do a blooper episode. I love that. This first one is super friendly, and it's really in the spirit of the show. They make it seem like it's all the actors gathered around to see their footage, and yeah, they do a genuinely good job, and I think all the actors cared, and they used it to its advantage. And that was when iCarly was still at its best. I feel like it started to peak when we hit the 4th season, and that's when iBloop 2 Electric Bloopaloo came out. And that is, number one, the worst blooper clip show episode of teen TV I have ever seen. I didn't realize how many shows featured clip shows like Sweet Life, Sunny with a Chance, but now that I'm like seeing it all together, like there's truly horrible ones out there. Why? Because they ended up taking iBloop 2 and using the format they made for Blooptorious. So they took the Victorious framework and pasted it onto iCarly, a show that literally doesn't have anything to do with it. It feels like the writers being on both shows were just showing off the fact that they could keep telling meta jokes, and since everybody knew these shows were on at the same time, we would just kind of view them as the same show. And it went a little bit over its head in terms of the comedy, where they actually took the worst parts of Christopher Kane and used it on iCarly. And let's not forget the misogyny. I feel like Christopher Kane is like put in this situation to be It's peak cynicism. Like, all the characters are horrible to each other, and just because we see them behind the scenes, that gives them permission to be worse people. It almost sets this opposite example when you're watching a show like this to believe that that's what life is like, and you're supposed to go out and mock your friends. Like, every joke is at somebody else's expense, and that's the part that I can't get behind. A lot of the clips they used were actually shorter and more of them, but they were even less relevant than before. So iCarly 2 really essentially butchered both Victorious and iCarly, made them both seem not as good shows, and then had the nerve to show us really stupid clips. Yeah, I'm not a fan of this, and I hope you guys had a good time growing up with these blooper episodes, because like I said, like, at their best, they could do a really good job at progressing the story. I still think they are a lower tier than a normal episode of TV, so, like, why do it ever? Like, people are there to watch a beginning, middle, and end narrative with character development, whether it resets or not. Like, that's why you're there. So the fact that these networks allowed this 30-minute block of nonsense is just beyond me. But hey, we got good memories from Dr. Phyllis. I did like the Sunny So Far one. It's just the iCarly and Victorious that took it a little too off the rails too quickly. And yeah, I don't know. Do you guys like any of these clip shows, or are there some I'm, like, forgetting? I would love to know if there's more that I'm missing here, so please comment below. But in the meantime, like, why did they do this? Thank you guys so much for watching. This is Johnny2000, and I will see you guys next time. One second, I gotta check the... Whatever. I have to do some things like a typical YouTuber. Is Sam and Cat not on streaming? Oh, I guess they're owned by Netflix, maybe? Thank you for letting me know. Tyler, I appreciate you.
Sit over there with you guys. Because you're not a main character yet. Oh. Hey, man. You know how it feels. Let me get y'all some drinks to start up early. Oh my gosh, you're just like you are on your TV show. Yeah. Hey, I play Goomer on the show.
Okay, we're gonna add this in. Sam and Cat actually had a blooper episode too. I just didn't want to put it on the list because it was insulting to even think about it. It's called #blooper episode. It's the 26th episode, which is, like, pretty much the earliest they've had a blooper episode on any of these shows, except for Sunny with a Chance, of course. And it's all them at a restaurant this time, playing as themselves, but of course they're bullies. They won't even let Goomer, the character sit with them since they're the main characters and he's not. Already kind of a weird aspect. They add Sinjin into it, which is kind of a nice callback, but why this episode?
Dice. Sorry. Stopping by. Do you ever have trouble with the props? Oh, yeah.
And it's so annoying because they just have random characters that have never been in the show just asking them questions to prompt more bloopers and behind the scenes stuff. It feels like they filmed this in an afternoon just to buy some time. Ariana Grande's hair isn't even red like cats for this. Like, I get it, she's not playing herself. But why not just convince us you tried?
That's not a real trash can.
Jerry Trainer makes an appearance, which is actually really cool to have him in this episode, but like, it seems like some of these aren't even bloopers, they're just planned awkward moments that they wanted to have in it. Why?
Dang, this show is hilarious. I gotta watch Shaun the Cat. I've been telling you. Here you got 45 seconds left in this episode.
Yeah, the meta jokes never end, it just ends with Sinjin dancing, and I don't know where to go from here. It's just such a weird waste of airtime that they had to do. Oh well. Ugh, okay.
What's in it? Well, you know how you love fruit. Still getting used to the surroundings. Strong. Where it's so strong.
What do you mean one blooper from Drake and Josh? Thank you guys for joining the chat, though. This is a lot of fun to have a party like this. Let me do Sweet Life. How's everybody night's going? Oh, thanks, Brendel. That means so much. I appreciate you guys so much. No, I'm not, which is kind of weird because I'm wearing a holiday shirt, but I just like this shirt a lot. Okay, let's try this. Let me make sure my episodes are going to the right place. Has anybody seen my Danny Phantom one? My Danny Phantom video yet? I worked really hard on that. Hmm. We're... Okay, so this is in my downloads. Oh, that's why. Pushing the story along. Bloopies. Okay. So we've been going over The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody for some time on my channel. I've had a lot of fun. My first video wasn't super great, the first season of Zack and Cody. I feel like I was still new at this whole YouTube thing and I was piecing stuff together, so there's a lot of glitches. In that episode. Please forgive me. Please forgive me. But I've had genuinely such a good time talking about these episodes, especially when it got to the second season and I had to get to those 39 episodes. I feel like I worked really, really hard on that. So please check it out, the complete second season video. It's 3 hours long, and yeah, it's quite a ride. But now that we're at the final season of Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, I don't even know what to do with myself. I was thinking maybe I should get a job. Huh. No, I'm just kidding. I would never get a job. But yeah, the Sweet Life of Zack and Cody has gone on strong for so long. I believe this is 70 episodes in. So these are the final 22 of the whole series. And so much life happens over the course of these 22 episodes that I was not prepared for. Like, the second season had 39 episodes that were all the same essentially happening, you know, like they're in the hotel. There's not a lot of plot progressing stuff. It's mainly episodic, but the third season has a lot of recurring elements that just keep the show going over and over again. A lot of really important stuff. One of the most important being the absence of Maddie. Like, Maddie and London were always the B-plot. They always had lines and stuff going on, but this time Maddie kind of stepped away. And I didn't remember a lot of this season because of that. Like, I feel like it took out the classic Zack and Cody I know so well. Not only that, but the boys go to high school, which is a huge change. You know, like, they've always been in middle school up until this point. We've gotten a couple episodes, like the school newspaper episode, or like just seeing them at school, but now it becomes like a bigger staple of the series. We even get a couple new characters coming in, like Nia, which is Mr. Mosby's niece. She's like really sassy, and kind of shares a lot of Zach's traits, where she's a little impulsive, a little bit cunning, more so out for herself, and it's very entertaining. I really like her as a character. If anything, I wish she was in it way earlier. Zack and Cody get jobs. Mr. Mosby stays at his job, which is not surprising at all. And they even have a few out of genre episodes, like a holiday episode. They have a superhero episode. Like, they clearly were trying to get a lot in before their show ended. And before the Sweet Life on Deck started to be announced, and before they announced the Sweet Life on Deck, this is kind of all we had. At this point, I didn't hear about Sweet Life on Deck, so like I thought this third season was the last we were gonna get of these two blonde twins. Without further ado, why don't we go through episode by episode and actually figure out what made this final season so worth it? Because I think it's a really, really good one, despite all the stuff I just said. We start with Season 3, Episode 1, Graduation. And this is about the boys actually leaving middle school. It's funny because we get like a little bit more glimpses into their middle school right as we're like transitioning to the high school. So it's kind of random. We got Freddie Benson's mom as a guest star in this episode. I was not expecting that at all. The plot is about everybody getting ready for graduation, and Zach is not going to pass. Like, he has to go to summer school, therefore he can't graduate with the rest of his class. I'm not sure if you guys remember that. I definitely remember being freaked out by a class or two convincing me that I might not graduate. I feel like they always put it in a way that they never let you be held back, unless, like, you really don't do the work or you miss too many days. Like, I don't remember ever any of my friends having the kind of issues Zach is having in this episode. Like, there's always some way to kind of make it up. Of course, Cody just happens to be competing with Barbara for... Oh my god, what is it called? valedictorian, the person that has the final speech at their graduation, which I don't remember them doing that in middle school, but hey, I could be wrong. And it's fun seeing their relationship have a lot of tension because of that. It definitely foreshadows a lot that goes on with him and Bailey. I don't know why Cody's complex just has to be that he's smart. Like, he can't have more character traits than that. I mean, it was the 2000s. What can I say? Seeing them argue, though, is actually a really funny part of this show. Zach really gets away with this for longer than you would expect. Like, he manages to get somebody else's entire robe. He ends up tricking... He ends up tricking who? His parent... Tricking the audience that his name got called by, like, throwing something at the teacher. And the people we're really following this is the parents. Like, Zach and Cody's mom and dad just think that there was no way he was ever gonna pass, so they're spending this whole episode hyping him up, being like, no, this is a celebration, and he just feels guiltier and guiltier, making him double down on trying to keep this secret. In the B-plot, we're actually introduced to what Maddie does for most of this season, which is be the leader of this Girl Scout troop. It's a bunch of misfit, behaviorally challenged kids, which is just 2000s talk for they are emotional, which normal, I guess. We get this girl... The little girl from the Con Man episode comes back, which is super random. I hated that episode, sorry. And we get this, like, new emo girl. We get this liar. Like, everybody here is just doing whatever it takes to aggravate Maddie. And as the season progresses, we actually see more of Maddie and them as opposed to anything else. But at least we get London in this plot line, kind of like making it easier for us to get used to the idea of the show changing so much. We get one last Maddie and London plot. Maddie does not really want to be here and is pretty obvious about it, especially by the way they treat her. It's actually really not fair. But hey, if you're a camp counselor, this is actually kind of normal. Can't help but talk about the fact that she was filming High School Musical 2 at this point. She was already too big for her britches on Sweet Life, which is kind of sad. I feel like, looking back, like, you didn't want to be a part of some of those episodes. Like, come on, Maddie. Zach's plan gets so far, even to the end of the whole ceremony. It's not until the party they have afterward, which, by the way, why is Mr. Mosby invited? I feel like he's the antagonist here. And Zach admits to everybody what he did and that he could still graduate, he's just going to be having to go to summer school, which... That doesn't sound that big of a deal to me. It sounds like you were going to graduate anyway. The parents kind of ridicule him about being honest, and it becomes one of those stereotypical episodes. Cody and Barbara end up making up, and they really like each other, want to go into high school together, whatever. And it's cool to see that Kurt is going to be a little bit more of a recurring character that's introduced in this episode specifically. Sorry guys, I need to plug in my cords so my computer doesn't die. Okay, there we go. But yeah, all around, pretty good episode. Strong start to a final season, and it doesn't even feel like a final season, which is really awesome. The second episode is where it gets a little bit more off its rockers. It's called Summer of Our Discontent. And this one is continuing the storyline of the past episode, so we're no longer an episodic series. So the boys are off into their summer that leads into high school, and everything is a lot more important to them, I guess. Cody wants to get a job, so he's like, maybe I could work at the Tipton. Of course, Mosby shuts that down, like, really quickly. And then he starts getting interested in the mini mart across the street with this really eccentric old history. What is his name? What? Oh, I died for a second. I'm still here. We're introduced to Millicent, which is the takeover's position for the Candy Girl, but she's actually kind of funny, so I'll let her stay for now. And Cody wants to be a part of the, what is it called? The Paul Revere Mini Mart? The Paul Revere Mini Mart, which is such a random celebration to have a grocery store named after these like historical people. Like, I don't know why. It's funny to see the manager get so into it though. Like, he lives and breathes this grocery store, which is insane. Look how little employees there are there. Is it just him? Like, there's nobody that goes into this store. But yeah, Cody really wants to work there, and this guy will not let him. I guess Cody's too young. I remember when I was in 8th grade, I was trying to go out to get jobs, and they definitely said I was too young. When I was 15, they were like, you have to be 16. And then when I was 16, they're like, you have to be 18. And I'm like, I don't understand the job market. Luckily, I haven't had that issue since. But yeah, so Cody ends up promising this man that he could get him a date with London Tipton. And London already knows this, like, right off the bat. It's so funny that she chooses now to be, like, a genius. Maybe she's dealt with this a lot longer. Because when Cody goes to her with this, she essentially is like, no, I couldn't do that. Until Cody convinces her that this is like a publicist and is just going to be interviewing her. Okay, good. Good sell. It feels like a Hannah Montana episode, the way Cody has to jump through hoops to lie to both people. But that's never an issue. I love when sitcoms have like the deceptiveness coming from 3 different angles. It makes the misunderstanding so much funnier. Meanwhile, Zach in the B plot is getting used to summer school, something, thank God, I've never had to go to, even though I definitely should have. He basically gets beaten up by everybody in the class because he becomes the smartest kid, essentially. He's like the Cody of the classroom, a really interesting look for Zach. It gives him like that perspective that like, oh, this is what it's like to be even a little bit responsible. Because like, he doesn't want to just blow all his time in summer school doing nothing. Like, he actually does the work and he gets through the days a lot easier, and then people just treat him worse and worse. Like this guy named Brick. How is his name Brick? I don't know why. It's funny though. They all keep intimidating him. And it's just like, why is there so many new cast members? Like, we have all the kids in Maddie's camp. Now we have all the kids in this episode. Luckily, it doesn't go on for too much longer. Like, these kids are not in more than this episode. But it is pretty interesting. The teacher is so wacky. I don't know if she would ever actually treat students like this. I mean, obviously it's Freddie Benson's mom, so maybe she would, but it's crazy. So Zach has to choose between being well liked and actually being a responsible person and getting his stuff done, which is a really admirable plot. I like that he ends up coming out on top for it. He even invites everybody in the class over to help study for the test because he doesn't want anybody to go back to summer school again next year, which is a really brave thing to do. I don't know why they had to go to his apartment. I feel like this classroom was used in a lot of Disney Channel shows too. Like, That's So Raven definitely took place in this. I don't remember Hannah Montana taking place here, but like something about this room is a little too familiar. It definitely is the episode Smart and Smarterer, but they were also in middle school at the time, so obviously that makes sense. It gets really funny when London and the Paul Revere guy are actually on the date, and Cody has such a hard time at keeping the secret. Like, I wish he could have kept it a little bit longer, but it is way too obvious to just not overlook. London and this guy end up hitting it off, actually, which is crazy because neither of them know what's going on. It kind of reminds me of the Sweet Life on Deck crossover with Wizards, where Justin and London are on a date. Like, that was a funny moment, and another time that London didn't know what was going on, but it was a date. What? London ends up getting disgusted and feeling betrayed by Cody, but it all works out for both of them because the Paul Revere guy gets to say he was with London Tipton, even if it was for a day, and London gets out safe and sound. Actually, I don't think London wins. Sorry. Cody ends up finally getting this job at the mini mart, which I've never seen somebody so determined to get that one specific job, but if it's conveniently next door, I guess that makes sense. And the episode pretty much ends with all positivity, with even Zach passing his test and getting to go into high school, something that the show is just going to keep diving into. So let's jump to the next episode, 3. Episode 3 is called Sink or Swim, and they hit a territory that they haven't done before on The Sweet Life. London Tipton has a crush, which is obviously funny. London is one of my favorite characters in all sitcoms. I don't know why, like, she's just so good at owning it. And in this episode, she ends up falling for Lance the pool boy, somebody we've seen time and time again, but here, like, they actually develop a connection, and I kind of like the way they went about it, especially since it's not just like a one episode crush. Like, they end up having like this really sweet moment in the pool. Zach is officially out of summer school and trying to find something to do to be responsible. So he's kind of going back to his old ways because now he's like not the smartest kid in the room. Funny that like psychology kind of works like that. He ends up wanting to get a job just like Cody did in the last episode. Funny that like there's this delay, but they both had the same goal over 2 episodes. Actually, it's kind of annoying because it makes me think that they just used the same plot twice. I think they did. So yeah, Zach ends up working for Arwen. Hilarious. I love Arwen. And they end up like doing all the stuff that a janitor would do. And Zach is clearly like upset by it the whole time, but it just gets grosser and grosser. And Arwen has such a passion for this. Like, I can't believe he's here working at the Tipton. Like, you should go to a better hotel. Or I guess it's 5 stars, so it's a good hotel. Yeah, Zach's not super excited. Literally, they have sludge fall on them in the middle of the basement, which, by the way, is an interesting scene change. They have this, like, sewer dungeon-esque area that's, like, kind of equivalent to Arwen's area. Kind of equivalent to Arwen's janitor closet, which, surprisingly, we don't go to a lot anymore. And they go there in, like, the Muppets crossover special. They go there in this episode. It's just funny to have, like, new locations when we really haven't visited the old ones in a while either. In the meantime, in the B plot, Maddie's plot actually coincides with London, which is pretty creative. I don't know how they managed to get so many Maddie plot lines when this actress was just not there. Basically, London gives her updates about everything going on with Lance, and Maddie at first is like, oh, that's so sweet, that's so cute. And then all the girls at the cabin start alerting the tabloids about London Tipton being with this guy. And then suddenly, like, London doesn't trust anybody, and Maddie feels horrible. But then London mistreats Maddie, and Maddie's like, oh, actually, I morally am okay with this. So she actually joins the girls, gets as much info as she can, and then keeps spilling it all on London, which, that's not a good friend, Maddie. I'm sorry to tell you. Zach is super sick and tired of working with Arwen, so he's like, I want a job at the mini mart like you, Cody. And Cody kind of just lies to him and is like, oh, we're not hiring, yeah. Until Zach learns that they are hiring, and he just lied to him. Zach hates working with Arwen, and I hate that it gets worse for him like that. Because poor Arwen, he just cares about what he does. So Zach, being like pretty negligent, ends up not ruining the pool with London and Lance in it, and it's filled with sludge. And basically, like, Arwen is in huge trouble because of Zach's negligence. And it's funny because Carrie warned him. Like, Carrie actually went to Arwen, which I respect as a mother. I like that she went to Arwen and was like, hey, he's taking advantage of you. Like, he's not being a good person. It's almost like she's his mother, but also a good person at the same time. Hey, cutie. Yeah. This huge mishap is really embarrassing for Arwen, who really cares and loves his job. And that's when Zach starts to notice that maybe he hasn't been treating Arwen super fairly. Arwen even gives him the cold shoulder and is like, don't talk to me, which, oof, that hurts. I've never seen Arwen go out of his way to actually have to be cold like that. And seeing him cold breaks my heart. Like, we do not see Arwen in that light ever. If anything, it's kind of a missed opportunity. I wish we had more episodes where Arwen had a more big conflict with the boys. Which, we do have a couple good Arwen episodes coming up, though, so stay tuned.
In aisle two.
They end the episode with Zach actually getting the job at the mini mart, like, because he knows so much about it, and Cody just has to suck it up and deal with it. And that is episode 3, Sink or Swim. The third season is off to a really interesting start with all these plot lines essentially taking off after one another and nothing starting and ending within these 20 minutes. So stay tuned because it's going to get even more crazy. This one actually does flip everything on its head because Super Twins Season 3 Episode 4 was a part of a 3-part series with Hannah Montana and Corey in the House. It's called Wish Gonna Miss, and basically they had the same plot line span over all 3 shows. Cartoon Network did something just as cool called, like, the Invaded Takeover, where they actually used 5 shows. There has to be a record for something like that. Please check out my video about Cartoon Network Invaded, because that was such a cool way to cross a plot line between 5 different shows, and it was super creative at the time. And yeah, this is kind of what's happening here, because this episode's called Super Twins, and you'll be surprised, it's a genre-switched episode. So Mosby is at his peak anger with Zach and Cody, which is crazy because it's like been at least 60 episodes at this point, and he's like tired of them leaving their bikes at the Tipton. So Zach and Cody are just annoyed that they have to act like kids all the time when really they're starting to get really mature, which is always a funny plot line for kids shows. They see a shooting star and wish that they were actually like an adult, like they had superpowers. So Cody ends up getting the ability to read people's minds, and Zach gets the ability to run super fast. An interesting combo. I wonder how long it took the writers to come up with these superpowers, because if you only get 2 of them, like what... like, you really have to make it work with the twins. They did a really cool thing, though. They made a lot of the Tipton employees be a part of, like, the villain brigade. Like, Mosby is the head evil manager, the meanager. Arwen Esteban, like they're all his henchmen, and it becomes like really adept into this. And it becomes really a part of this superhero genre, which wasn't even at its peak when this episode came out. I feel like when we started getting Marvels like Iron Man and started expanding into episodes like that, that's when like superhero got really interesting. But here, it's just them. It's just them at the Tipton in a Disney sitcom, and it is super hyper realistic. Like, I can't believe they got away with something that was so ridiculous for such a grounded kid show. It feels like a stereotypical origin story with the boys waking up and they suddenly have their powers, don't know what to do with them, have a little bit of fun and games around the hotel with these things until they realize that they actually have a threat to deal with, the manager. They even managed to put Maddie in this in a really impressive way. Like, they have Esteban go all the way to the cabin to lock her up, to tie her up, and same thing with the girls, which I kind of like. It feels like she is a part of the show pretty naturally. I didn't notice Ashley Tisdale being missing in the show at all so far, so they did a really good job. The banter between Arwen, Esteban, and Mosby is the funniest by far in this episode. And I'm so glad we get all these like old characters recurring and coming into their own plot lines this season. It feels like we're getting one last spotlight on all of them. I think the costumes are where you lose me a little bit. That's when it feels more of like a cosplay or Comic-Con setup. Like, they definitely went a little too overboard on wardrobe with these episodes, but it's hard to complain when you like the episode. I mean, I like the episode. I put it in my worst episodes of Zack and Cody because I just don't like how genre shifting it is. Like, the thing that's best about Zack and Cody is the groundedness of it. So this episode feels a little out of character. Oh my gosh, when Arwen ties up Carrie and tries to sing to her, I don't know why, that's just one of the funniest moments in the series for me, because it's like, of course that still has to go on despite the fact that they're superheroes. Like, they're so true to their characters even in this episode, and you gotta respect that, because if this was iCarly or Victorious, they probably would have just made some meta jokes and this would have just gone super haywire, but Disney knew how to do this right. The manager's overall plans is to turn all the kids into adults, which it's funny at first because he uses this ray. It's like an adultifier or something, and it just and they slash Bob, and it hits Bob, and he just gets a suit, and they just assume that the suit is the superpower, which is so funny. And in the end, they actually turn the adultifier on Mosby, turning him into a baby, therefore defeating him, therefore comic book ending. Kind of. It feels like it's not doing well in the comic book genre, and it's reaching a little bit for the sitcom genre. So all around, this episode feels a little awkward, but it has some good moments, like Maddie being included, London being included, and having Esteban, Mosby, and Arwen be the evil team. I don't know why. That part is just what really sells it for me. Oh, they end the episode by running the Earth backwards to go to before they got their superpowers. Which, if you ask me, that's unnecessary. Like, you could have just woke up from a dream. They could have just found out that the superpowers weren't real. You really had to go the extra mile, rewind time, only to get everything back. I don't know. That was a little overcomplicated for me. But things get back to normal on episode 5. Who's the boss? And this one is a Zack and Cody classic episode because it's the boys fighting at a different location than the Tipton. Yeah, so at the mini mart, it becomes this huge superiority complex because Cody's been working there for a while, but Zack is better at the job. And Zack ends up getting promoted to manager, which really upsets Cody. And then just everything is off the walls in the best way possible. As you remember, Dak got the job a couple episodes ago before this whole Super Twins episode, and we're taking off from where that left off. These summer jobs are not long, guys. It's only going to last 2 or 3 episodes. I could have sworn it lasted like the whole season. In this episode, Arwen actually invents something that allows to sort mail, and it just shoots the mail at you, like paper cut wise. And I don't know why, Arwen is just hilarious at every turn. He does such a good job in the third season. It is peak Arwen era.
Something's a little fishy here. Not in the good way. I think you don't want your friends to meet me.
We get a B plot of London and Lance actually together, which is cool. I like that we had one episode of just having them have feelings for each other to see that it was genuine, and now we have an episode kind of testing how far they'll go to stay together if that's what they really want. Like London's old book club friends, including Alexa Nicholas, come back for this episode to kind of show London's aristocrat side, her super rich side, which it's so funny because it's so rare and it's so few and far between that we see London actually getting along with people that are also rich and famous. Like, I feel like she spends most of her time with Maddie or like people around the Tipton. So when these guys come in, it's kind of more of an event. They definitely make the stakes a lot higher, and I feel bad for Lance because he clearly wants their approval, and London is, like, ashamed to be with him. Do you remember that in the 2000s when, like, people were more ashamed, like, if you acted a certain way to be seen with you or dating you? Oh, I hated those times. It's a very shallow experience. But, you know, it's happening in this episode, and it feels more like yesterday than I remembered. London clearly has feelings for him, which makes it even harder as a viewer to go through this because it's like you want London to make the right choice, but she seems so focused on her friends that like she's missing out on a good connection.
I told you, the labels have the getting lucky. 42 seconds. Ooh, does that mean in the
Oh my gosh, so Lance in this episode tries to appear more sophisticated, so he gets help from Carrie and Mr. Mosby, which it ends up in one of the funniest scenes ever of just them trying to get him to act proper, and he's just like he only sees the world as like a fish boy. Like I don't get that bit. That's a little unrealistic for a human character to be so into the water like that. But I guess he's like a surfer dude. What can you do?
I put on my pogs? Yeah, good idea. He liked him.
London gets advice from Maddie, which is actually really sweet considering that like they're still staying in touch and they're still friends despite the fact Maddie's gone for this summer. But I like that. Like it's really hard to keep in touch with your friends. So like the fact that they are doing it in a really meaningful way is kind of sweet.
You haven't seen anything yet.
Zach So with Zach getting the promotion, Cody feels like pretty inadequate, especially since like he's the smart one at school and suddenly his genius isn't applying to real life. I feel kind of bad for him in that department. Like that's really hard for him to accept. So he invents this like 5-arm machine, which is kind of something Arwen would do. Like considering in this episode, like Arwen invented something, then Cody invented something. Point is, Cody invents this thing, goes haywire, makes him look worse at his job. What? That's a surprise. Wayne at the mini mart essentially pulls the plug on the whole endeavor just to tell Cody, like, you are fired. Like, this is going way too far. And it kind of reminds me of the election episode when he invents that jetpack that he flies in. Oh, I miss the days of Cody inventing stuff. This is cool that they have it in this episode, though. And I wish they had it more in Sweet Life on Deck. That would have been, like, a top tier. Sweet Arwen, though, trying to help Cody throughout this whole episode. I feel like he becomes more of a main character than he ever had before, and you have to appreciate that about him. So the episode ends with London trying to make it up to Lance by dressing up like a mermaid and looking ridiculous in front of all of her friends to show, hey, I'm not ashamed to be with you. Meanwhile, Lance does the same thing. He changes to wear a suit and actually be better for her. And it's kind of sweet to think both of them contributing. Like, it's all about compromise in relationships. They do a really good job at setting an example of that. And that plot line kind of ends really sweet. We learn a lot more about London. We know a little more than we need to about Lance. And then, of course, Maddie got mixed into all of this, so she's still relevant. And Zach becomes the bigger person by telling Wayne to rehire Cody and give him another chance, which is very sweet. I feel like Wayne should have done that to begin with. Like, it's still very noble for Cody to make such sacrificial ex- to watch Cody make such sacrifices for this job. Like, he does not need to do that. I just clock in and clock out when I'm at work.
Officer, I don't care if it's been less than 24 hours. My
Episode 6 is called Baggage, and this is where Nia gets introduced. Mr. Mosby's niece. And I wish she was in earlier. I thought she was in earlier, honestly. Like, this is jarring to me. And their relationship is really cute because it's kind of like the same way he is with Zach and Cody, where it's just fun to watch his buttons get pressed. And Nia is so good at doing that. She actually takes over for Maddie as the candy counter girl, in addition to Millicent. So now it's Millicent, Nia, and I guess no more Matt. Now it's Millicent and Nia at the candy counter. Okay, that's a lot of math for me. But yeah, that's kind of random. You immediately can see her influence on this. Like, she clearly wants to just take the easy way out on everything. Like, she's not interested in learning too much, and that is where London Tipton comes in perfectly. She's like a more cunning version of Maddie, and bringing that to London adds a lot to their dynamic and probably fills in the space that Maddie would have given. She's great for the Sweet Life world too. Like, I definitely remember Nia from way back when. So I was excited to see her again. Unlike the other cast members like Skipper, or like, there's just some random people in this show, honestly.
oh, please.
The episode's called Baggage because it's about the mini mart once again. They're trying to get all these Zach and Cody plot lines out of the way and have them in the workforce. I don't know why that becomes such a thing. It kind of reminds me of On Deck when Zach ends up losing all their money, so they have to get a job working at the Sky Deck. I like that they managed to make that a I like that they managed to make that a staple of that show. Like, that's definitely a positive thing. But if you know me, I don't love Sweet Life on Deck, so it's not like it's a complete win. But yeah, Wayne is against the Betsy Ross mini mart next door, which is even funnier. Like, I don't know why all these historical names have to keep coming up. Zack and Cody has a weird history with history. Like, they had that episode with Grandma Mosby, where they learned about the first black sailor. Then we had the episode where they were doing the Boston Tea Party, and now it's just everything's named after all these significant people in the American history. It's random to me. It's too random. Basically, they do a bagging competition, which they actually did on one of my favorite shows, Raising Hope. And basically, the goal is whoever bags the fastest. And Zach and Cody are competing in this little endeavor. It feels like not a super relevant plot line to be a Sweet Life of Zach and Cody episode, but it's comical enough that I want to see the boys in this situation. Nia realizes who London Tipton is pretty fast and tries to kiss up to her so that way she can get as much as she can out of that friendship, which is, at least right off the bat, you could tell that that's why she's being friends with her. I feel like Maddie would just occasionally want to reap the benefits from London, but this girl is full on manipulation tactic, and I'm here for it. Sorry guys, there's a bug. I gotta get this bug. Damn. Where'd it go? Okay, bug is gone, I guess. I think it was a ladybug. I'm hoping it was a ladybug. I get scared of bugs. Thank you for watching me make my videos. I appreciate it. Tyler, you always come through for me. Thank you.
Nia. I got the ear part right. And that is the last I have on the subject. Okay, I know I'm not very good, but I could. This way, Dizzy.
Mosby tells London that her and Nia can't be going to this concert, which is kind of a real blow for Nia because she gets to do all this with London Tipton. Like, it's a big deal for her. And so they get really upset. And then they come back a little bit later. Turns out they went to the party. Oops. We get Skipper back, and he is the interesting placeholder for Esteban. He's just this southern confusing guy that I don't know why he's in this show, and I don't remember him super well. I know he was in that Mummy episode, and suddenly he's back. Okay. They end up having this huge party in London's suite, and it actually collides both of the plots. Like, Zach and Cody end up going to the party, which is insane because they're getting ready for this bagging competition, and Nia and London get caught by Mr. Mosby for doing all this. And next thing you know, Nia's like, okay, well, I guess I'm just gonna have to move out because she's been thrown around to so many different families for acting this way. But Mosby's like, no, you know what? I made a promise to your mom and you're going to stay here. I kind of wish that Mr. Mosby was like, no, like, I believe in you. Not like, oh, I have to do this, so I have to. It's like, okay, thanks. But yeah, it's good to see that Nia's going to be here for the long run. I really wish that she was introduced even earlier than today. But that's okay. I like that the whole party thing, they get in trouble for it. Like, that never happens on this show. And for a show about being in a hotel, you'd think parties would come up a lot more, but they don't. Oh my god, it's so funny when Carrie busts the party because Cody wants to take this girl he's been seeing with him who looks so much older than him and thinks that his mom says she could take him back with them. And I'm like, what? That's crazy. That's something Disney would never do anymore. Crazy. What's up? Sorry, my cat's talking to me. They end up doing the bagging competition, but Zach falls asleep, so essentially they lose the whole thing. Aw, I really feel bad because these guys were actually pretty good at it. Cody's really angry, understandably. But hey, you did it too, Cody. So the episode ends actually pretty negatively. They have to end up dressing up like the Betsy Ross mini mart from across the store and from across the street, and it's kind of funny. It's interesting how, like, these episodes don't always have a moral, and then in this one in particular, there is a moral, it just doesn't end right. I don't know. It's a good episode, though. Baggage. Surprisingly enough, that leads us to another episode called Sleepover Suite. And this one's cute because it does take the original premise of the show, and it feels like it would be in season 2, but just the fact that it's like bringing back that original energy of Sweet Life, so funny. Cody has a crush on this girl that wants to have her birthday party at the Tipton. I've never heard of anybody wanting to have their birthday parties at specifically a hotel. Like, it's one thing to be like, oh, something in the area, like, I'm here for something else, but why in this hotel? Like, why is that so meaningful to you? Zach and Cody are stuck watching London's suite for a little bit, and they have this bust of her head, and I remember this episode so vividly. It's about Zach and Cody breaking that bust, and I could have sworn this was in season 1 because it feels like such an old plot line for this show, but I like it because it takes you back to that original energy. So yeah, Zach and Cody's misfit adventures ends up in this huge issue for the boys. And it's funny, the bit in this episode is that they have a bunch of barbershop quartets coming into the Tipton, and so they're all these like singers in pairs of 5 coming around, and it's like, why is that the bit? It's funny. I like the singers. I love singing. But yeah, it's just such a random thing. And especially since Carrie's a singer, like, of course this has to bite her in the butt. Like, all these barbershop quartets start hitting on her, which is not fair. Oh, come on, poor Carrie. Nia ends up seeing Cody making this exchange with the girl when he's like, oh, come to London Tipton Suite. Because since they're watching it, they'll be able to... Okay, let me get this real quick. Nia gets involved when she sees Cody trying to make this deal with this new girl, like he's just trying to impress her. Don't forget about Barbara, boy. And yeah, Nia is like, oh yeah, we're definitely here. We're gonna do it for money, and you could definitely take this suite. And then a bunch of girls show up and expect to have this huge sleepover party in London Tipton's room. But of course, Nia has to keep everything in order. Once she collects the money, she realizes, oh, I have to actually make this fun for the girls. Hey. That's a good point. Miss B says she likes the episode. What'd you say? Maddie? You like Maddie? She likes Maddie. Oh, careful, girl. And she's hitting a vape. Thanks, guys. You made my cat hit the vape. Okay, no. You don't get to eat that candy. Oh my gosh, Miss B. She likes to go on the computer setup. That's not how it works. Miss B, come on. You are going to cause a ruckus. Okay. I think she's fine. She's in the DVD box. Anyway... So Zach and Cody are trying to get away with hijacking London's suite, and Nia is collecting all the money. Hey, the girl from Austin and Ally is in here. I was not expecting that. Oh, and then London ends up coming back early, and this is actually kind of the funny part. She's, like, expecting to go back to her suite, but since all these girls are staying the night, they have to convince her to go somewhere else. At first, they're like, oh, you're on the wrong floor. And it's like, how in the world would she be on the wrong floor? She's not that stupid, but, I mean, it's London. Maybe she is. So Zach and Cody start taking care of her in their own personal suite just to buy some time. And it's so crazy how they're like jumping from one place to another. Definitely classic Zach and Cody memory. Zach gets crazy in this episode because he kisses two girls just to distract them. And it's like, whoa, what's going on here? It's so funny though when he kisses the second girl, the first one's like, how dare you? And it's like, I don't know, that's a good joke, especially for somebody like Zach. So Mosby and London are like on the brink of finding out. Nia's gonna get in trouble, Zach and Cody are gonna get in trouble, and these girls are not having a fun party. London thinks that they're exterminators to get rid of the bugs that Zach and Cody lied about being in there, and it's so funny she does not pick up on that immediately. She has Ivana. Oh my god, remember Ivana?
So do I. Okay, the truth is, we were playing fetch when we broke London. That's right. Why?
Turns out they have to come clean, say that the only reason that they had this party is to get the money back for busting London's vase. And of course, London doesn't really even care that much because it's just another possession to her. Come on, London. And then Carrie shows up with the barbershop quartet that are hitting on her the whole time, following her everywhere she goes. Funny bit, but goes too far, question mark? And London is like, oh, I wish I was invited to the slumber party. And when she realizes she is, they continue to have it, which is an interesting win. I don't know if that was truly earned, but it was a win nonetheless. That's when we get season 3, episode 8, one of my favorites of this whole series. It's called The Arwen That Came to Dinner. We've gotten to see a lot of Arwen throughout these past couple seasons, especially when it gets later. You know, like we had the whole plumbing games when he was going against Irv and wanted to win the affection of Carrie. And this is the episode where we actually take all of his like previous references to like his mother and like kind of what goes on in his personal life to a head and get the boys involved. So it's definitely a really good episode of Sweet Life. Basically, we find out that Arwen's mom is dating somebody, therefore she's not giving Arwen the attention he quote-unquote deserves. Aw, kind of a sad story, but then grown man? I don't know. Zach and Cody start feeling bad for the guy because of course he's like a sweetheart. Like he's quirky and he's stupid sometimes, but he's a really well-meaning guy. So they invite him to come have dinner at their apartment. It's like pretty normal until he starts giving us insight on everything his mother does for him, like specifically with the food at dinner and expecting Carrie to do all this stuff, which kind of crazy because he has a crush on her, but I'm not gonna judge, I guess.
With mother, she'd walk. Smack him with this towel. Hey, I guess what? Aiming on a pack of gum. Well, if that's basement, then why is there a fire-breathing dragon in it? No, you're selfish. Good night, Cody. Read a story?
They end up inadvertently inviting Arwen to dinner, and this becomes the beginning of a really funny comedic bit where he just overstays his welcome, stays the next night and the next night, and let's take a break from this and go to the B plot.
But he doesn't have his pajamas. Aha! Razor dragon. Break up with me. Well, no, you're self-official. Don't really listen to anybody. Nope, can't think of a thing. I need someone to snoop, pry, and weasel information out of him. Well, I can snoop and pry, but
So London goes to Nia because she's getting insecure about her relationship with Lance. It's funny that we're actually still going with this. Like, I like that London does have feelings for Lance, genuinely cares about like what he does because he likes her too. It's clear, and she's getting suspicious in this episode. And Mr. Mosby's already on Nia about being a responsible person. She literally takes a tip jar to the candy counter, which isn't wrong. I think you should tip somebody at the candy counter. That's fair. And so she asks Nia, so London asks Nia to do some snooping for her. Keep an eye on Lance and see what's going on.
Did you do something different with your hair? No, I'm a mermaid. See my tail?
We learn that he is, in fact, going to break up with her, which is actually kind of sad, thus being the reason she dresses up as a mermaid, which I could have sworn she did in the last episode, but I guess she's doing it again. I mean, I guess that's how you keep Lance interested. I don't know. So yeah, they realize that they're really on different pages, and it's kind of sad to see them break up like that. Like, London clearly does care for him. Meanwhile, Arwen overstays his welcome to a hilarious degree where essentially Zach and Cody are the mature ones in this relationship, asking like when he's gonna leave, like what he's gonna do with his life, and suddenly like they're the moms. It's so funny because it's like when you act like a mama's boy so long, of course the people around you start to develop habits that make it complementary to that. And they end up convincing him to go back to his house. It starts to take a shift where it's just like it's all about Arwen not needing to be alone. So they're like, we should try to get him a girlfriend. And then that kind of shifts the episode's tone. So it becomes more about them trying to hook up Arwen.
Think that someday we were gonna get married and have guppies?
They end up turning Arwen's original house, the one that he shares with his mother, into a bachelor pad, like with like hoops and swirly, circly chairs. It really gives you some insight on what the 2000s were like when they're like, this is what the coolest place looks like. Kind of reminds me of the iCarly episode where she gets a hot new room. It's like, what were we thinking was cool back then? Just purple and red? Is that enough? I don't know. Arwen ends up having a crush on one of the neighbor girls that keeps coming back, and it's kind of sweet. It's like the little boy next door story, but it doesn't matter because he has a crush on Carrie forever. So, like, what? Why? But I guess that was the resolve. Zach and Cody feel pretty proud that they got him to leave their place, but also still, like, genuinely grow as a person. It's starting to make me realize I'm missing Maddie because she would have been in this episode and been funny. So yeah, we're jumping between London trying to keep a relationship with Lance and Zach and Cody trying to keep Arwen confident. It's a very sweet episode. Definitely goes back to the origins of the show. But without Maddie, it's kind of sad. London and Lance pretty much officially break up in this episode, and that's kind of what it's most notable for. Let's get on to the next episode, though. Episode 9, Lip Syncing in the Rain. Now, apparently this one came a lot later than intended, but they put it in earlier to make it seem like Maddie was more present. It's the episode that makes a lot of meta jokes about High School Musical 2, and the fact that Maddie's not around. It's kind of annoying because it feels like a little bit too promotional to be its own episode coming out within the same year as the movie. Like if it was later or earlier, maybe it'd be like, oh, that's a funny reference to something that didn't happen. But here it feels like they're trying to promote it too much because they did an episode exactly like this before, but we'll get into that.
You audition. Go out, audition. What difference does it make? No one ever picks him anyways. I think he's got a great shot. Acting
So in this episode, Cody is going out for the school play, which is such a funny term, going out. They kind of mock it in this. And he and Mosby actually bond over the fact that they both like theater. It's so annoying to see these guys so into it. I mean, it makes sense though, because like they've talked about theater before. It's just weird that it always comes off in this one-off episode. And then Ashley Tisdale comes in as Maddie, of course, and is also auditioning for it. Didn't realize they were all going to the same school, but okay.
Great hair. Point is, I want to get a part where I don't have to wear a beard. Clean toilets. I'm here. That's me. Break a leg. Thanks.
Literally. Or the previous one.
Failure and I'm fish. Here.
So this whole episode pretty much takes place on stage, and it becomes this hodgepodge of honestly nonsense. It's funny because obviously they all have their own goals. Like Maddie wants to get a part that just doesn't have a beard in it. London comes in, thinks she could just buy the part, which is even more crazy because she's right. Like all the teachers kind of fall for it and give her a part anyway. And this is the first time Zach and Cody are old enough to be in a show with them. It does remind me of the last time they did this episode with Selena Gomez, and it was more the Midsummer Night's Dream parody. Yeah, so it's just them doing a play, not a musical like this one, but it's like all these miscommunications going on in middle school. And here, it's all the miscommunications going on in high school. And I like that London and Maddie are wrapped into Zach and Cody's plot. It's a really good, like, send-off in the third season to having them all at the same place at the same time one last time. There's this like really eccentric theater kid that keeps wanting to get the lead role, and he's so annoying. I mean, there's just so funny when I watch people parody theater because did you hear that? That was a thunderstorm. It's so funny watching people parody theater because it could get so meta so fast, especially since there's so much acting involved and a show within a show. Like, this is the best part of this. Of course, the jokes are funny with them referencing the fact that she could be Sharpay because she is Sharpay. But you know what? In retrospect, I'm getting annoyed at it, okay? Like, this episode seems a lot more funny than just that joke.
Results are on the school website. I can't look. Banner. I don't cut out the crust. Taken.
When they get their parts in the show, everybody has like a whole new attitude about it. Like Maddie is trying to prove that she has a dark side and can play a really intense character like Sharpay.
Sometimes. Taken. Can't believe I'm playing Sharpie.
And London, of course, is Sharpay, or Sharpie as she calls it, that's a funny joke that she calls it Sharpie. I don't know why, makes me laugh. Zach is a part of the stage crew, which is very fitting for him. I feel like he would be that kid.
Playing a jock, I've decided to live the
And then, of course, Cody gets the main role as, like, the Troy character, which is so funny, because Zac Efron's been in this show before. Like, we're not kidding anybody, guys. And the fact that Cody's like, I'm going to live the life of a jock, it's like, come on, Cody. You really think you're going to live the life of a jock? Carrie tries to teach London how to sing, and it is horrible. London just like backs her into a corner with all her jokes. I don't know why. This is the funniest scene of London ever. Is her trying to get through the singing lessons.
things far. I say sup.
It drowned out your sponge.
Of course, Mr. Mosby has to insert himself into the fray and also give acting advice. See, Maddie, this is why it's good you're not Sharpay or Sharpie or whatever. Mosby gives her lessons, and she is horrible. Like, they go right to the next scene and do Bop to the Top, and London does not know how to do it, and everybody is horribly embarrassed. they eventually decide that Maddie is going to sing for London, so London doesn't have to sing, and then she gets all the credit, which is, of course, like, London doesn't realize that that is literally going to ruin Maddie. Like, why would she get so close just to not be involved? But yeah, it is funny the way it plays out, and to think that, like, Maddie does it without getting any credit is also funny. And then, obviously, the really eccentric... Oh, wait. Then when it comes to the actual show, Mr. Tipton shows up, which is cool lore into London's existence. Meanwhile, Maddie's behind the curtain the whole time, starting to get really fed up with everything she's going through. Of course, Zach is there to be supportive, which I find kind of sweet. Like, I like seeing them, like, be at each other's side for most of this episode, considering it's, like, one of the last times we'll have, like, a lot of scenes together. But yeah, the whole show goes haywire, of course, because it can't go well, and all the boys enter the stage. Even Maddie gets on stage, lip-syncing for herself and London, and it becomes a better performance because it's musical theater. Obviously, people don't care if they're in the audience. They're like, oh, that's my kid, whatever. And they end up throwing a great show by just throwing it all together at the end, which isn't actually how a high school theater production would work, especially since they don't really have costumes, it seems, or even a set. So, okay, that's how the episode ends. Fun one. Great send-off to Maddie. Let's move on. That's when we get to Season 3, Episode 10, First Day of High School. We finally get to see Zach and Cody in high school. And I remember this episode super well from the promos. I remember them talking a lot about how, like, everything's gonna change now. But really, I look back and think about all the episodes that follow it taking place under this new backdrop. Like, it feels like they just needed a place outside the Tipton, and they did a good job at making it be this. Jeez. The thunder's scary. We learned that London is kicked out of Our Lady of Perpetual Sorrow, which is funny because we haven't seen her there in 20 episodes, and yet that's the joke. She's not there because she's not been showing up. So, like, Mosby is like, you have to go to school with Zach and Cody, essentially. And they do. On a boat 2 years later. No, I'm just kidding. No, but seriously, London does have to go to their school here. I don't know why that Lip Syncing in the Rain episode came before this, because, like, wouldn't they be in the school? Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes production dates and air order is always confusing. You could check out the video I made on that, the Sweet Life episode count. Like, I kind of dive into the production versus the air dates and, like, why it kind of messes with the story in shows like this. So you could check that out in that video. But in the meantime, let's just accept this as reality. It's all about Zach and Cody trying to take on these new personas now that they're in high school, which is so funny because clearly they're always trying hard to do something. Bob, their best friend, the redhead, he is insistent he's going to be a jock this season. And I'm like, I thought this was the main episode. I thought this was the first episode of the third season. I thought this was the episode of the third season. I thought this was the first episode of the third season just because of... No, I was just acting scared for the cats. Just because of how this started, like, I can't believe that's just how it went. But yeah, I thought this was the season premiere, but really it was just the 10th episode of the third season. Crazy how this show progresses so quickly. Nia and London also attend this school, so it's nice to have, like, a reason for them all to be in the same social circle. London ends up trying to buy her way through all of her friends, and it works. This girl named Ellen, I guess her name is, they all agree to be her friends if she keeps paying them, and Nia, like, kind of warns her the whole time, like, that's not how you make friends, and then suddenly Nia is in the responsible person's position. It's like, you can't be friends with London and expect to still be, like, the irresponsible one. Like, she's so hard to keep up with. Zach has a crush on this girl that already has a boyfriend, so he's getting a lot of drama pretty off the bat. This guy pretty much beats up Zach any chance he gets, and poor Zach this season. I feel like people keep beating him up. So Nia and Zach end up both in the principal's office with Carrie and Mosby showing up. And it's so funny because they're talking about like carpooling. They're like, this is obviously going to be a common thing, so we should get used to it. It's like, what?
Marion's gonna honor students.
They run into Cody there too, and it turns out he's just being honored. Then we get the insight of this principal. Then we get this short-haired woman with glasses. She's the principal, and she'll come up a couple times from here on out. And she essentially is there to hype Cody and dismiss everybody else. Poor London.
Whatever I put the marble in.
Zach and Cody get a new friend, this curly-haired kid that was in the summer school episode. So it's funny to see him like come back a couple times. I think he was also in that nightclub episode, Club Twin, from the second season. Yeah, this guy's just funny all around, though. I like him. This jock tries to beat up Zach with Cody stopping him, and of course, the teacher yells at both of them, and they're both in trouble.
Okay then. There's only two solutions to the principal's office.
Zach just does not leave this girl alone. Like, she is constantly like, I don't like you. Like, stop hitting on me. I have a boyfriend. And he just keeps trying. And I'm like, Zach, this is too much. This is too much for this episode.
I took a dark path, which led to anger. The day of the I just want to buy things. When I'm a sophomore, then we can date. Or some. Oh, I just want to potatoes and what? I should be out buying. And the principal's. See then.
After defending Zach, Cody gets sent to the principal's office too, which is actually the perfect reason. He's never been sent there, of course. Can you guess? And then the episode ends with everybody getting punished. Cody, because he was trying to protect her. The boyfriend, because he was in a fight. Like, it just ends with the principal putting them all into detention. And even Mosby and Carrie are, like, borderline punished for all the events of these episodes. A crazy first start to the first day of school in high school for Zach and Cody. But it's definitely putting this whole season up to a really fun start. I'm not sure if you recognize the girl that Zach keeps hitting on. I think it's Danielle Panabaker. She's somebody that was in a lot of Disney episodes. I always got her confused with the girl on Good Luck Charlie. But yeah, they're different people. Sorry, guys. Episode 11, halfway point of the final season of Sweet Life of Zach and Cody. And this episode is called Of Clocks and Contracts. And I gotta be honest, this episode is one of the more boring ones from the third season, but it does keep the spirit of the original in mind. So, Nia and London have to do a science project, and neither of them really know what to do. They're kind of like leaning on each other to get this done until they realize they could take advantage of Cody. Yeah, so Cody is trying to get paid by London, but then also help Nia. And he's like, oh, I don't want to be in between this. Let me just help you both. So he decides to do a potato clock for both of them and ends up doing all the work himself. Surprise, surprise. But that's not the crazy part. The crazy part is when it goes so well that they learn how to make French fries with it, and London and Nia end up taking it worldwide and becoming super successful for it. Why did that happen? In the meantime, Zach is actually representing Carrie because she's in negotiations with Mr. Mosby about her contract. Kind of reminds me of the writer's strike when people were like, no, we're going to strike until we get the fair deal we want. And that's what Zach is insisting Carrie does. She's like, He's like, you need to get everything you can out of this situation. And of course, Carrie loves that idea. She's like, oh, I want a bigger hotel. I want this. And Mosby does offer her a lot of things, but then Zach makes her double down way too much than she's comfortable with, to a point where, like, she's borderline going to lose her job. But he's like, no, like, they need you more than you need them. And it's like, what? So then he asks her to play the long game and is like, let's just stay out of it until they can't hire another person. And, oh, they do. Yeah, there's auditions literally the next day, and Zach befriends a clown and wants to represent him, which is kind of crazy. I'm like, why does all these people want a 14-year-old to help them through their financial and managerial issues? I don't know. So yeah, Carrie gets even more stressed out at the situation, and Zach gets more into it by starting to wear a suit and having a little earpiece. I don't know why. Zach is just so charming in this episode, because it's like, because you know that he clearly does know what he's doing most of the time. He's just smart enough to not bring out his brains when it really matters. He negotiates with Mr. Mosby and gets her fired. Isn't that insane? Like, imagine your kid got you fired. But she tries to keep a brave face, and that's when they get auditions for new people. And it's just wacky. Later, Mosby does eventually start to cave, and another guy comes in saying like, oh, we want you, Carrie, working at our hotel. And Mosby's like, no, you work with us. And then they start fighting with each other until Carrie takes the other offer. But twist, it's not a real offer. It's the clown. Zach got the clown to represent. Zach started representing the clown and then used his first gig to help get his mom more money. If you were the clown, would you have showed up for that gig? I don't know. And then Mosby's like, yeah, you gotta go for it. And so now Carrie's out of a job, and she thinks she's getting all these benefits, but nada. By the end of the episode, though, it does come out pretty well. Like, Mosby ends up hiring a comedian who actually is really unfavorable to all the guests at the hotel. So Carrie just comes right back in and takes as much as she can get. And it's kind of like a win-win episode, with Zach seeing his side that is actually, like, negotiating and, like, has a lot of potential. Like, this is a fun side of Zach. And seeing Cody taken advantage of constantly, like, it seems like the third season is really beating up Cody and Zach, and in a good way. It's like trying to mature them and, like, trying to force them into the adult world, which is funny because it's like you see them less in the sewer, you see them less in the air vents, you see them they're not up to as much as they are having conflicts with other things going around them, whether it's like the hotel or the staff. It's all around, like, the show is maturing with them, if that makes sense. And yeah, just Nia and London becoming famous by the end of this, all for Cody's work. Hilarious. I don't know why. That's just, like, my favorite part. And that's when we get to the Halloween episode, Arwenstein. So yeah, Season 3, Episode 12 is Arwenstein, and this one's pretty interesting. So basically, Arwen is like, hey, Zach and Cody, stay out of this extra special room in the janitor's closet that I live. That line is actually never said, but it gets the point across plot-wise, okay? Trust me. After the Arwen that came to dinner, it's just nice to have him in more than a few episodes. Like, the more one-liners I get from that guy, the more I love watching this show. It tries to be very Halloween-y. Like, in the promos on Disney Channel, I think they really leaned into the fact that it was going to be a horror episode. It's kind of about this giant mechanical version of Arwen that he'd created and goes haywire around the hotel.
We're having a Halloween party, and I...
The B plot is that London is having a Halloween party, and whoever has the best costume gets to be it. I don't know. That's a cool win.
always do... Okay.
And that's where Arwenstein comes in. It basically, everybody thinks it's Arwen, so it's the perfect scary outfit. The episode does take eerie turns, like it has like scary music every now and then. They try to keep it in a little of a horror realm, but it doesn't really live up to the Ghosts of Sweet 613 from the first season, which is essentially a really good Halloween episode. But I like this one too. Of course, Zach and Cody think this is Arwen the entire time, not the robot, so it's definitely coming across really funny.
No light bulbs until you finish your toaster.
Arwen communicating with robot Arwen is hilarious. I'm liking this doppelganger type situation, like, because Mosby dressed up as Grandma Mosby, and now Arwen is also Arwen. And then in The Sweet Life on Deck, he is his own cousin too, which is, and it's just all around like outlandish.
You're right, but don't even get me started on Cam.
This monster gets loose in the hotel and starts causing hijinks to everybody, including Mr. Mosby. And it's all the boys' fault, so it's their responsibility to lock him up. Which I don't get it. It's Arwen. He's a grown man and created this robot. Why is he not responsible for it? It's funny because it's like he put it together from just like a cereal box idea, which I can't believe that's the way. They convince everybody this is Arwen until the Halloween party, and then they finally get him to go with them. Cody and Zach are just trying to keep this guy a huge secret because they do not want to get in trouble. And it becomes a lot harder when they get to the party because people are like, wait, why is there two Arwens? The costumes are funny, though. Mr. Mosby's dressed up as a werewolf. Esteban is also a werewolf. And Carrie is a ghost. Okay, that's fair enough. Arwen ends up wanting to put this robot away, and Zach and Cody get kind of attached to it, and they're like, no, you can't put him away. I'm like, guys, this is a Halloween episode. Can we just move on and get to the seasonal stuff?
I mean, everybody has glitches, right?
They end up accepting the robot for all of its downfalls. And I guess that's a nice resolution. Like, they don't trap him, they don't put him back, he just becomes one with them. And I guess a main character. Imagine he's in the theme song. That would be crazy. But yeah, that was a really good episode. Definitely a good Halloween special. I wish I watched this in the most recent Halloween, but what can you do? All around Arwenstein, great episode. Season 3, Episode 13 is called Team Tipton, and thank God Maddie's in this again to make us convinced that she's not doing a movie and ignoring the set. Can you imagine? So she comes back from quote-unquote Antarctica, which I just saw you 2 episodes ago. I did not think you were in Antarctica, okay? And immediately she's involved in this team-building exercise thing.
You won't find a better coffee in Boston. I have no idea how this could have happened. Oh, it was you, you wee beastie. I see,
Zach, we have
No.
sorry. In my defense, I didn't know it was a bagpipe. I thought
Zach and Cody had already ruined these bagpipes, because apparently there's a bunch of they're having a bagpipe convention at the Tipton. This Tipton has like all the events under the sun, like the quartets, the bagpipes, the French twins. I don't even know why they're having so many events at this hotel. Like, you're 5 stars, you're fine. And now Maddie's just getting back, so everybody's kind of having a mini reunion. Kind of kills the moment that Zach and Cody ruined these whole bagpipes, ruined the whole bagpipe situation. And Mosby is like, we have to settle this. Like, everybody has to get along, or this is not going to work out. Oh, why does that happen? Oh, yeah, because Nia and Maddie get in a big argument over the candy counter. It's a job. I don't know why they take it so seriously and are at each other's throats about it. Especially since Maddie's not even going to be in the rest of the episodes. Like, why even talk about it? So yeah, Mr. Mosby gets them all to do team exercises, leaving Zach and Cody to their own plot, and the entire staff of the Tipton on their own plot. Which, hilarious idea, by the way. We get to see Esteban, Mosby, Maddie, Carrie, like, everybody is trying to be a better team, and seeing them, like, go in with that good intention, but end up in such hilarious issues is hilarious. And it's weird because obviously Zach and Cody don't want to get in trouble for ruining this whole bagpipe convention. So when they come in with a bug convention, yeah, like there's these people that want to show off insects. Zach and Cody can't resist and end up knocking all the insects all over the hotel, and it is disgusting. I hate bugs, but this is crossing a line. Like, Zach and Cody then have to track down every one of these bugs throughout the Tipton, and if I were anybody checked into this hotel, I would be furious. This is disgusting. But it is, like, it does have its comedic moments, like, they end up eating the bat that Zach tries to catch them with, so it's definitely a funny, like, break from the Team Tipton aspect of the episode. It, like, justifies why they're on their own trying to figure this out when here Skippy is joining the boys. I don't know why Skippy's even still involved. But I like that both of these plots are going on simultaneously.
Coworkers are like family. Move on to an action.
It's like I can't believe Oh, what are they gonna do? Open the close.
Zach's clicking has a generator.
I don't know why London is involved in the whole team effort, because she is just rich and exists in the hotel. Like, she's the one paying for everything. I don't understand. The bugs end up interrupting the Team Tipton exercise and actually gives everybody a reason to come together and stop it, which inevitably builds their team anyway. So I guess it's a success by the end of this episode, yeah. All around, it's great to have, like, one last hurrah with all the Team Tiptons, because, like, Esteban, Maddie, like, they're so sparse throughout this season that it's just nice to see them, like, being a part of it still. I mean, the fact that it's still Zach and Cody, the fact that it's still Zach and Cody at the forefront is good enough of a distraction that you don't really notice it. Some incoming and outgoing characters are really good at texturizing all the missing parts, and I don't think I noticed a single episode without all these characters. Like, this third season, like, I can only know looking back that Maddie wasn't there, but I definitely didn't remember that at the time. Okay. Thank you guys for joining me. I am exhausted, so I need to sign off. Thank you all.